Today on r/am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling girlfriend that she gave me the ick at a family dinner? I'm 32 male dating my girlfriend Jenny 27 female for almost a year now, and we've met each other's families. Jenny is an only child of an Asian family while I'm half-half with one younger sister Anna 21 female. Anna and I are close despite our age gap. Our parents both work demanding jobs and I would babysit and chaperone for many of her bratty teen years. In recent months I've noticed that whenever Anna comes up in conversation, Jenny would joke about how Anna is overly spoiled by my parents and I, and how we've created a princess. Last week at a family dinner with my parents I felt like Jenny was overly grilling Anna on school, dating and life. At one point Anna was telling a story about how a first date gave her the ick by not pull out his wallet after their meal, and let her foot the full meal. Jenny laughed and said that not every man will treat her to dinner like her brother would, and that you need to lower your standards. I was not happy with this comment as it sounded like my sister didn't deserve to be treated with basic respect, but also didn't want to embarrass Jenny. Jennifer then went on to talk about how that would have never happened to her as men see her as high value. I don't know what about this comment that just pissed me off, but I said that she was giving me the ick and to stop talking to my sister like that. The argument we had when we got home was massive, and Jenny told me that I was overreacting to an innocuous comment, and would make a terrible father because I would always favor my sister over everyone else. I'm shocked it called a terrible father, and honestly still don't think I was wrong, but need another opinion. For our next story. Am I the a-hole for assuming my daughter could have a third plate? Throwaway because my sister knows my Reddit and I don't want this causing drama. Yesterday my sister hosted a family dinner at her house. It was one of those just because dinners, no special occasion. My sister is a great cook and she made tons of food for that one night. My daughter was on her second plate by the end of the night. Once she finished she asked if she could get another one. I said yes. But my sister, her aunt, looked at her with a shocked expression and said another plate. My daughter turned around and gave a somewhat uncomfortable look. My daughter is 16 and has 2 part-time jobs to pay for some of her college tuition, so she usually doesn't eat until 7 to 8 p.m. So I didn't even blink twice when she got up to grab her third plate. I turned to my sister and said she's been working all day without anything to eat, you made tons of food, it won't hurt for her to get another plate. My sister started yelling, saying something about how it wasn't my place to say if my daughter could get more of her food that she made. Now I do somewhat agree with that, and might be the a-hole because of that. Looking back I'm thinking maybe I should have asked. My daughter ended up not getting another plate, and the vibe was awkward now so we just decided to go. Before we left out the door my sister stopped me and told me I should have taught my daughter manners and how it isn't right to get more than one plate at someone else's house. I told my sister she was being ridiculous and somehow our voices got loud enough where my mom started to hear us in the small corner. She came over and started telling me she agreed with my sister, and it was rude for my daughter to eat that many plates. I started to get fed up when they began telling me I wasn't teaching her proper manners, so I left. Then of course they began texting my phone saying how it was rude to leave in the middle of our conversation. I don't think I was the a-hole at all for leaving because I wasn't going to stay in a place where I felt disrespected. But I'm not sure about the plate thing. So am I the a-hole for assuming my daughter could get another plate? Let's dive into our next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my daughter be hungry and not ordering for her at a fast food place? My daughter is 15 and she has social anxiety. She is in counseling for it and not on medications, not needed. The rule in our household is that if you want fast food when we are out, you pay for it with your own money. If you don't have McDonald's money, you aren't going there. I also don't allow eating in the car, so we stop at places to eat. We had to go out and do some errands. I told her to grab something to eat beforehand but she said she wasn't hungry. We go on our errands and halfway through she wants to stop by Wendy's. I pull in and tell her to go order, I will get a seat. She comes back a few minutes later and tells me she can't order. She doesn't want to talk to the cashier at the front of the store. I told her she needs to order and we will head out. She asked me to order and I told her no while. We sit for about 10 minutes when I tell her it's time to go. She, in short, is pissed and my wife is also upset I didn't order for her. That I let her go hungry. I find this stupid. I didn't starve her for days, it was 4-hour outing. Edit, for those asking, yes, her counselor has told us she needs to start doing this stuff on her own. This was low risk. She literally gave the example of ordering food without our help. I also ran through a script with her at the table but she wouldn't do it. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for wearing a 2-piece to my kids' swimming lessons? I, 27 female, am a mother to quadruplets aged 2. This is their first year taking swimming lessons and at their age, the lessons require one-on-one with the child or adult, as well as an instructor to teach. So me, my husband, and 2 of my husband's friends came along. Unfortunately all 4 of the kids got booked for the same time. They started the lessons on Monday and ended today, Friday. At the lessons, all the other kids had their mothers or female guardians with them, and all of them wore shorts or shirt swimsuits. My husband and his friends had trunks with no shirt, and I wore a two-piece. Nothing bad, everything was well covered, but obviously my stomach and back showed. I didn't think it was a big deal, and I honestly didn't even notice what everyone wore until probably Wednesday. And it was fine because everybody, including me, was modest. However, they finished their lessons today. When everyone was getting changed to leave, a few mothers came up to me. They said they didn't want to mention it earlier to make classes awkward, but they and a few other mothers were uncomfortable with how I was wearing a two-piece to the lessons all week. They suggested if I do another class with my kids here, I cover up my stomach because nobody wants to see it because of the stretch marks from my pregnancy, which is a lot more than average because I had quadruplets. I asked if they had an issue with how my husband and his friends didn't wear a shirt at all, and they said they didn't care because they didn't have the baby belly like I did. Now I'm back home, and I can't decide if they were being rude or just were honest. They made sure to tell me it wasn't about the modesty, it was just my stomach. I never thought about it, so maybe it's my fault for being careless and not thinking of everyone else. My husband says I was fine, but all the mothers there apparently don't think so. Am I the a-hole? For our next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they need to place their next kid for adoption? My parents have 4 kids already. Me, 17 male, my younger sister, 13 female, younger brother, 12 male, and youngest sister, 10 female. My parents have relied on me heavily to take care of my siblings. Started when I was still too young to do much, but they'd put them in my room if a nightmare happened, and after each sibling was 6 months old, they started sharing a room with me until they were 3. Then it was getting me to prepare something to eat for my younger siblings. It was also staying home with them while mom went shopping, and over time it evolved. I help with homework, I make sure they're awake for school, I walk them to school since I don't have a car, I feed them, and most of the time I'm the one they come to if they need help with something. My parents will drop them off at birthday parties or to friends' houses. They'll take us out for family experiences but admittedly expect me to keep an eye on my siblings. My parents provide the food and house and clothes. I provide the emotional stuff. I don't love doing it, but I got so used to it that it became second nature. I'm still the person my youngest sister comes to if she has a nightmare or is afraid of anything during the night. My parents learned they were pregnant again in February. They told me and my siblings last month. It was very much talked about, like I will have the baby with me, in my room, for the jump, and should learn how to independently change diapers and stuff. I made it clear from the jump that I wasn't raising their next kid for them. I told them I had more responsibility to my 3 siblings than I should have ever had. But I wasn't going to skip my own life to raise an infant from the start. My parents were shocked. They tried to get one of my younger siblings on board, but they said no way, they didn't want to be responsible like me. My parents returned to me with the topic and asked what the affair meant to do, and they never expected me to reject a sibling like this. I said I reject child raising another one of their kids. Not a sibling. But also, I'll be out of the house in 7 months. I won't be around the new sibling as much, and the relationship might not be the same. I told them I don't want the same relationship either. I don't want to be a parent to another sibling. They made it pretty clear they don't want to do the actual child raising, and they're living a nightmare over this. When the topic came up during the last week, I told them they need to place the baby for adoption since they won't have a good childhood with nobody wanting to raise them. I told my parents it would be the kindest thing to do if they refused to raise the baby themselves. My parents accused me of treating adoption flippantly, and they were sorta outraged. I would rather they place the baby for adoption than for me to step up and raise this one too. Am I the a-hole? Our last story for today. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my parents out financially because they only help my siblings and never me? I'm 30 male, the oldest of 5, and my siblings are 28 female, 27 male, 25 male, and 23 female. Our parents were always generous with giving money when asked for it, except when it was me. I was told I should learn to work hard. I was told I didn't need the new video game or toy. I was told earning money was the only way I'd ever have money, and I hadn't earned money from them. But my siblings could get whatever they wanted. When I first graduated college, I ended up struggling financially because where I went to work, the cost of apartments were so high. I asked my parents if they could help me out, and they said no. I ended up in a shelter for a few weeks and then rented a dump of an apartment with a friend who found himself in the same situation. They not only helped my siblings through college, which they didn't do for me, but they gave each of them lump sums after they graduated to help them get started in life. They also helped them out when asked over the years. During COVID years especially. They didn't offer any money to help toward mine and my wife's wedding. We didn't ask. But it stood out more when my sister, 28 female, got engaged and our parents had mentioned money for all the weddings. Again, it was all except for mine. Only now this has all caught up with them and they are in a very tight spot with money. They're asking me for money too. They told me they need mine and my wife's, help, and we should do it because of how great they have been, and they never say no to any of us. I told them they never helped me with anything, that they preferred to see me homeless rather than help me out. They argued back that it never happened and I could have asked if things were that bad. I showed them screenshots of texts where I brought the topic up after asking them verbally. My parents dismissed it, and then told me they're still my parents, and I'm the most settled and I could afford to help them. I admitted that I could, but I didn't feel they had earned it. My parents called me spiteful and said I should help my parents rather than see them lose everything. I told them to ask the kids who they helped. My siblings were also pissed. I said no. They told me mom and dad don't deserve my pettiness. Am I the a-hole? And those are all the stories we have for today. See you tomorrow.